Hello, old guard. Turn that volume up. Today, we aren't talking about antiques. We're talking about the moment the world slammed the pedal to the metal. We're talking about a time when gas was cheaper than water and freedom smelled like burnt rubber and sun-baked vinyl. Do you remember 1964? That was the year everything flipped. The Beatles blew up the TV screens, Muhammad Ali shook up the ring, and in Detroit, they were getting ready to blow up the roads. But let's be honest, what were we driving back then? Our fathers' land yachts. Huge, boring, heavy barges. Were they reliable? Sure, built like tanks. But did they have any passion? Did you want to whistle at them as they drove by? Heck no. Those were cars for driving to church, not for stealing hearts. Now, picture this. Inside the giant Ford Motor Company, where everyone wore gray suits and was scared of their own shadow after the Edsel disaster, there was one rebel, Lee Iacocca. That Italian had a nose like a bloodhound. He looked out the window and saw what the old bosses didn't see. He saw U.S. He saw millions of young kids who wanted to live life in the fast lane. Iacocca said, "Enough with the boring cars. We need a beast. We need a sports car, but one that a regular guy pumping gas can afford." The bosses laughed. The bosses said no, but Iacocca got his crew together, the best engineers and designers, and went underground. Just imagine. They didn't meet at the office. They met at a cheap motel called the Fairlane Inn, a few miles from the factory, at night. Through thick clouds of cigar smoke, eating sandwiches, they sketched a legend on cocktail napkins. They felt like conspirators planning the heist of the century, and in a way they were. They were about to steal America's heart. They had to create a miracle on a shoestring budget. And they did. They took the boring Ford Falcon, stripped out the junk, and dressed it in a body that made people snap their necks looking at it. That long hood, that predatory look, that short rear deck. The car looked like it was doing 100 miles an hour, even when it was parked. Naming it was like naming a prize fighter. Cougar, Colt, Torino. But then someone said, Mustang, a wild horse that knows no saddle. Have you seen the emblem? The horse runs to the left. You know why? Because on a racetrack, horses run to the right. But this Mustang? It's free. It runs west, towards the sunset, and freedom. Then came D-Day, April 17th, 1964. Folks, that wasn't a car launch. That was madness. That was hysteria. Ford expected to sell 100,000 cars in a year. Ha! They sold that many in 3 months. You wouldn't believe what happened in the showrooms. In Chicago, the crowd was so wild the police had to lock arms around the dealership. The manager locked the doors from the inside because he was terrified people would smash the glass just to touch the car. In Pittsburgh, a dealer got so scared he drove the only Mustang onto the lube rack and hoisted it up to the ceiling. Why? Because folks were climbing inside, pushing buttons, twisting knobs. He thought they'd strip it for souvenirs in an hour. But my favorite story is about a stubborn Texan. Picture it. Texas, hot day. A guy sees a blue convertible in the window. He loses his mind. He runs in and yells, "Write the check, I'm taking it." The salesman turns pale. "Sir, I can't. That's the display model. We don't have any others." And what does our hero do? He climbs into the car, locks the doors, and says, "I don't give a damn. I'm living here." He actually slept in that car in the showroom all night until the paperwork came through the next morning. Now that is passion. That is love at first sight. But there was one guy who beat them all. Captain Stanley Tucker, an airline pilot. This sky wolf, managed to buy Mustang serial number 1. By accident. It was a mistake at Ford. That car was supposed to go to a museum. When Detroit realized what happened, they started calling him. "Captain, return the relic. We'll give you money." But he just laughed and hit the gas. He drove it for 2 years. Only when he had 10,000 miles on the odometer did he agree to trade it in. And guess for what? The 1 millionth Mustang, fully loaded with every option. That guy knew how to make a deal. Why did we go so crazy for this car? Just look at the price tag back then. $368. That was pocket change. A student delivering pizzas, a school teacher, a factory worker, anyone could slap cash on the table and drive out like a king. The Mustang told us, "Kid, you don't need to be a millionaire to have style. You don't need to be a movie star to be cool." And that options list, it was like Legos for grown men. You could be modest and take the small engine to drive your mother-in-law around. But if you had blood in your veins and not tomato juice, you opened the catalog and started creating. V8, 271 horsepower, 4-speed stick shift. The rally pack tachometer right on the steering column, like in a fighter jet cockpit. When you turned the key in a car like that, oh man, that sound, that wasn't noise, that was music. That low, gut-rumbling growl, vroom, vroom, it shook the seat, and it shook your soul. And to prove the Mustang was on top of the world, the marketing guys did the impossible. They hauled a car to the roof of the Empire State Building in New York, to the 86th floor. How? It wouldn't fit in the elevator. They sliced a brand-new convertible into 4 pieces. At night, like thieves, they took the chunks up the freight elevator, and there, in the freezing wind, mechanics put it back together. In the morning, tourists walked out onto the observation deck and couldn't believe their eyes, a white Mustang floating over New York like an angel. This car became a movie star. Remember Bullitt with Steve McQueen? That Highland green fastback flying over the hills of San Francisco, jumping, burning rubber, drifting sideways. There was no music in that scene, just the roar of the motor. After that movie, every boy in America, myself included, dreamed of being Steve McQueen. The Mustang gave us more than just 4 wheels. It gave us the feeling of flight. Remember that? You're young. The prettiest girl in the world is sitting next to you. The Rolling Stones are blasting on the radio. You put your elbow out the window, step on the gas, and all your troubles disappear in the rearview mirror. In that moment, you were immortal. Today, when I see an old, perfectly restored '64 Mustang on the road, I don't just see metal. I see our youth winking at me with a chrome headlight. Now, old guard, pay attention. I've been rambling on here, but were you listening to old Pop Pop? Is your RAM still working? Let's test it. 3 questions, sharp, quick, like a gunshot. Answer out loud or write it in the comments. Question number 1. What was the name of that secret gang of engineers who dreamed up the Mustang while hiding in a cheap motel from the bosses? Remember the hotel name? It was the Ma Fairlane Committee. Okay, remember? Moving on. Question number 2. How much did the very first basic Mustang cost? I gave you the number that made all of America lose its mind with joy. Just $360. Can't even buy a set of tires for that now, can you? Question number 3. What was the name of that cheeky pilot who accidentally bought Mustang serial number 1 and led Ford on a chase for 2 years? That was Captain Claire Stanley Tucker. One lucky son of a gun. Well, how did you do? If you got all 3, Congratulations! Your engine is running like a Swiss watch. You still got it. If you missed one, no worries. That's just a reason to subscribe to the channel and train your memory with us. Speaking of which, folks, if this story brought a smile to your face, if you smelled that gas and freedom again, do an old man a favor. Smash that thumbs up button. Don't be shy. Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell so you don't miss the next yarn, and most importantly, write in the comments. What was your dream car in the 60s? What did you dream about when you were young? I read everything, and I really want to know what my old guard was driving. Thanks for riding shotgun with me down memory lane. Remember, it doesn't matter what year is on your birth certificate. What matters is keeping the tank full of adventure and the spark plugs clean. Take care of yourselves, don't get rusty, and keep the RPMs high. I'll see you down the road.